Welcome to Fireside Nets with Spen and Pete, your number one podcast for Brooklyn Nets news, opinions, and so much more. I'm Spen, he's Pete. We got a busy day today, Pete, in terms of just topics to talk about. Nets media day was on Monday. Um, Obviously, the trades that have happened throughout the past 7 days, and just a ton going on with the Brooklyn Nets and in the world of the NBA.
Yeah, and also it's Drake week. Drake's dropping an album in about 48 hours or something like that. I got the Nets, and I'm a big Drake fan, so I'm just waiting for these hours to pass. It's a good week. It's definitely a good week. Let's just jump straight into it. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to tell you my Drake's overrated take. We can do
Oh,
that. We can do that another time. No. We can do that another time.
all
I'm
right.
just teasing the listeners there. Nets media day took place. It was Monday. I'm not sure. Has it been going on today? Today's Tuesday, October 3rd, by the way. But I'm very confused because I keep seeing tweets of quotes, and I don't know if they're from yesterday or today.
I think people just keep on throwing them out there. It gets maybe retweeted or something.
Okay,
Today was the
yeah.
first day of camp, also, so there might be quotes from that.
Got it. All right. Well, a lot to get to quote wise, but I want to start with nobody other than Ben Simmons. So, just to summarize how Ben Simmons has been discussed prior to Media Day and how he was, discussed on Media Day, everybody, including Ben Simmons, is super fucking hyped on Ben Simmons, right? It's been incredible. So let's get started with the Ben quotes. Says it's the best he's felt in a long time. Took him, a while to rehab properly, but now he's comfortable. He's physically able to compete at the highest level. Those are his words. So, thoughts on that? Did he say anything that surprised you there, Pete?
It's kind of hard to take this with anything but a grain of salt because we heard last year how I'm feeling great, I'm back. He said last year, it's going to be scary, quote unquote, scary with this team. I think he used the same quote this year that the Nets are going to be scary. And what can you do when the guy kind of repeats the same things over and over? I do think he's going to be better, but what else can we do until we actually see the action? You know what I mean?
I get it. There's something different about the way he's talking, the way that people are going about this than last season. I think it was easy for him to come in off his back injury, look at the team the Nets had, and be like, yeah, if I'm 40% of myself, this team could be scary. Pete, he wasn't wrong. I mean, before Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were traded, the Brooklyn Nets were a fucking scary team. And we saw moments where Ben Simmons was in that fourth or fifth best player on the team role, and he succeeded. He was good. That we had those moments. So I had no problem with what he said last year. I didn't blame him. Now, obviously, his play tapered off pretty quickly. He was inconsistent, but I got to say, and we're going to talk a little bit about the back stuff here because you had brought it up a while ago, Pete. You brought up doctor's notes and medical news, and I respected it. I would never go that far, but my wife, Victoria, who I've mentioned on the show before, has been dealing with a herniated disc. It's a slightly different disc than he was dealing with, or I guess it's the same. I don't know the medical terminology, but very similar injuries. And she has not been able to walk without being in pain for a month. She's getting surgery at the end of October, but she can't get on a plane. She can't get into a car. She can't virtually do anything without almost crying from the pain. And Pete, this guy was playing basketball. That's crazy.
Well, let's keep in mind that was after surgery one. This is before surgery. But you do have a point. I thought it was interesting you mentioned the car because he said he couldn't even drive in his car. And you're mentioning your wife had similar issues. So I could see that. I could see that.
I mean, you're right. It was after surgery, so technically it's supposed to all be fixed. But man, you're playing basketball at the highest level against the greatest athletes in the world. You need a little bit more rehab time. And I tell you this whole story to basically just tell you and the listeners, I kind of have a newfound respect for Ben Simmons. I don't think it was all mental. I think a lot of people harped on that. Yeah, does it suck to hear the outside noise when you're struggling? And can any human being get a little bit discouraged by like millions of people saying you suck? Sure, I get that. But having kind of watched my wife go through this back shit and seeing Ben Simmons struggle last season, it kind of makes sense. So in his words, he's basically said he's ready. He thinks that he can do Ben Simmons type things now, which we did not see last season. So I think that is extremely promising now that he's and you know them shutting him down for the rest of the season last year. It kind of makes sense now, so he can really focus on getting right. I'm excited, Pete. And listen, if he stinks and he dupes us all, then I'm a motherfucking sucker. But I don't think that's going to be the case.
You know, I've been kind of a little harsh the last couple of minutes, but I tend to agree with you. Jock Vaughn said he said he's the most explosive he's seen him like in these practices. And you know, I don't know why, but I really believe that. I really believe that. Like you said, I looked at the medical journal saying it takes 2 years to recover from the surgery, and a bad back is a hell of a thing. If you ever had like a serious back injury, it's a hell of a thing. I'm here for Ben Simmons, and I'm here for redemption season. I really am.
There are two more Ben Simmons quotes I want to point out before moving on. Number one, he said that the Nets can be one of the fastest paced teams in the league. I hadn't really thought about that, but he can push the ball. Dinwiddie can push the ball. Nick Claxton can run the court. We've seen him do that. He's one of the most mobile centers in the league. McHale and Cam Johnson can all push the ball. If anyone isn't the guy to push the ball, I kind of look at Cam Thomas because he is more of the half-court one-on-one scorer. I thought it was an interesting quote. And like when we've seen Ben Simmons at his peak, a lot of his game is getting downhill, getting a defensive rebound, and just pushing the pace. So I thought that was an interesting quote. And then the other quote I liked, he said that Mikal Bridges is a great basketball player, but an even better person. And we haven't really seen a lot of those Ben Simmons, Mikal Bridges interactions. In a weird way, they're 2 out of 3 or 4 of the leaders on the squad right now. So any thoughts on either of those quotes, the fast-paced team quote or the Mikal being a great basketball player and a better person quote?
The fast-paced kind of sticks out to me, and I'll tell you why. Sean Marks took a lot of shit, right? Took a lot of shit this offseason. But one thing that he did do was he molded this team in his vision of keeping it very athletic and keeping it very defensive and very, you know, we're going to score on transition. We're going to be moving around a lot. And you got to give the guy credit for at least that, for molding the team in that vision, that it kind of you can see the pieces starting to fit.
It's funny you're crediting Sean Marks. And I agree with you. I mean, I say it's funny because I wasn't going to talk about him today. I watched every player interview in Nets Media Day, and when he got up there, I was just I've had enough of Sean Marks from the standpoint of I get it. I understand what he's trying to do. He pivoted very well from the KD stuff, but I don't want to hear from him at this point. I want to hear from the players. I want to hear from the guys putting the product on the court. Maybe it's just because I have Sean Marks fatigue at this point.
So you're tired of his bullshit? Is that what you're trying to say?
Trying to what?
Are you tired of his bullshit?
In a sense, yes.
His fodder, being nicer about it.
Yeah. I'm tired of it. But I give him credit. Look, a few more teammates of Ben Simmons talking about what they expect this year. Royce O'Neal believes in Ben Simmons. He worked out with him this offseason, says he has that pop back, working hard in the gym, etc. Another, encouraging sign that this guy might be ready. Cam Johnson was asked, how important is it that Ben Simmons, is an integral part of this team? He said it's crucial and critical. The dimension that he adds is unique and allows the Nets to do a lot of unique things. Says as a shooter, you always want Ben Simmons on your team.
Of course.
Just guys, giving this guy some love and giving this guy some hype and getting the Nets ready to go. And then the most.
Can I cut you off over for 1 second?
Yes, for sure.
A lot of people forget about this, but Ben Simmons' quote unquote special ability as quoted by JJ Redick, is creating the open three.
Yes.
And a guy for like Cam Johnson, who likes to sit in the corner and catch and shoot threes, that's going to be huge for a team that's, maybe not going to be the most talented offensively. Getting those open looks by Ben going downhill is going to open up everything. And I think everyone agrees with that, right?
Yeah, I remember that interview. That was when Ben Simmons was on The Old Man and the Three. Pete, what's the word I'm looking for when like someone in politics, is it, I guess, endorses, right?
Yeah.
That was the word I was. Yeah, cosigns, endorses. I was looking for that word. Maybe there's another word I'm missing, but you love it that his teammates are endorsing him before the season. And then the last quote that I thought was extremely interesting. And, I say this, Dinwiddie is one of the most honest and transparent guys out there, right? He never needed to say that shit about Kyle Kuzma. He said it and he didn't sugarcoat it. And it started whatever, but like he was. So I kind of, when Dinwiddie talks, I listen because he doesn't lie. He kind of says how he feels. He said to a certain extent, Pete, that this is Ben and Mikhail's team. He said this is Ben's team, which is a wild quote for me because at most, Ben was the third or fourth guy on this team last year, right? So what do you think of Spence, who last season, Spence was one of the leaders on the squad, coming in and saying, this is Ben and Mikhail's team?
I think about it, right? This team is only going to go as far as they're going to go. So it's not very surprising to hear that. We all know, like I just said a couple minutes ago, and everybody agrees on this. If Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons and he like somehow returns to all-star level, this team will not only make the playoffs, but I think they could be a top 5 seed. I really do. Think about the defense. You think about the offense. Think about, if he's healthy playing in, 70 games, 70, 80 games. That would be a big boost. But it's not surprising to me whatsoever. They're only going to go as far as they go, right? Like, I don't know what to say.
I'm going to take your quote and I'm going to just change it, modify it slightly. And you said if somehow Ben Simmons gets back to all-star form. I'm going to say when Ben Simmons gets back to all-star form. Look, I'm agreeing with you in the sense that like at peak, this team is a 4 or 5 seed. There's no way they can surpass the Celtics, Bucks, I think, or the Sixers right now. We can get into it. They're probably on the same level as the Knicks, as those, 4 through 8 teams if they play peak basketball. The Cavs, that's how good they can be. But if they're having a great start to the regular season and there's a disgruntled superstar out there, I wouldn't put it past Sean Marks to try to make a move to better this roster a little bit to somehow put ourselves in that top 3 conversation.
That could happen very easily. Spencer Dinwiddie is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. I've been harping on this a lot. There's no way that Spencer Dinwiddie is going to be a net at the end of the year. And as everybody knows, he's my favorite player. But think of it this way. He's not going to be re-signed. They don't have the cap space or the tax room or whatever to make this happen. So literally it's you go to the end of the year and you lose him, or you trade him at the deadline and you either get a couple first-round picks or you get back maybe like a star player. And, depending on where this team is, it really could be a star player.
It could be. And you think about the other pieces on this team, right? A Royce O'Neal, a Dorian Finney-Smith. These guys are good NBA players. You pair one of those guys with Dinwiddie. I mean, look, Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith got the Mavs Kyrie Irving with a draft pick or 2, right? You package those 2 guys again, you're telling me we can't get a top 15, top 20 player in the NBA? I don't know. I think maybe I'm getting a little hype because of media day, but
you are.
And that's okay. That's okay. Sticking with Spencer Dinwiddie, moving off Ben Simmons. Dinwiddie agrees with you and me, Pete. He thinks that the Nets could be around a 4, 5, 6 seed. Oh no, if you're a 6 seed, you have to play in, right?
Yeah.
It's right. So he thinks that the Nets can avoid the play-in game. He thinks that
No. The 6 No, I gotta clear 6. 6 is good. It's 7, 8, 9, 10.
7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So he thinks they can be 4 through 6. He would not go as far to be like we're a championship contender, which is good because he's realistic, right? He speaks the truth. I did like what he said in terms of he thinks he'll shoot less off the dribble threes and a lot more catch and shoot threes because of playing with Ben Simmons. He shot a lot of end of the shot clock, one-on-one threes. And I mean, he was quick to say it. Like, he didn't shoot a great percentage, but that's a fucking ridiculously tough shot for 99.9% of the rest of the NBA. So that's your boy Dinwiddie right there.
Shout out to him.
All right. The one guy we haven't really mentioned yet, Nick Claxton. A lot of buzz around him this year, right? So he said during media day he still has a lot more to prove around the league. He wants to show people last year wasn't a fluke. His offensive game took huge strides last season. He led the league in field goal percentage. Taking three-pointers. That's something that he did a little bit in college, something he wants to get back to. Said he's putting a lot of work this summer, and maybe Nick Claxton takes a 3 a game. What do you think of that?
I like it. I'm here for it. I think he played in maybe like 3 or 5 G League games, and his 3-point percentage wasn't that bad. I should have had it in front of me, but I don't have it right now. But I believe it was pretty good, and I'm here for it. And you know what? If you're gonna have Ben Simmons in the starting lineup with Clax, you might need Clax to take a 3 a game just to keep the teams honest. Because let's be honest, last year Ben Simmons got sagged on so badly. You'd see Ben Simmons the top of the key, and you'd have his defender waiting like at the free throw line. And you can't have that. You want Ben Simmons to be able to go downhill, and he's not going to be able to do that if everybody's sagging off him and the other guys are just going to cheat, right? Like, it's tough. It's tough. It's going to be tough. But I'm here for Clax shooting threes.
There were a few possessions last season where Clax had the ball at the end of the shot clock and he had to turn and just shoot a baseline jumper. Now, it was a 10, 12-foot jump shot, but he was hitting them. There were a few of those moments last year. So I obviously he's going to be a set 3-point shooter. I don't see him being like a catch and shoot jump shooter. It'll be interesting. I'd like to see him and Ben Simmons shoot a 3 or 2 a game. And then even Ben, why not? Shoot a 3. I don't care if you clank it. Just show me you have the stones to shoot a 3. I'm not asking for 2 to 3 attempts a game. I'm asking for 1 attempt every few games. Look, if Ben Simmons somehow plays 80% of games this season, which is a lot, he has to shoot a 3 every now and again.
I don't know about that, but
all right. The last thing that Claxton said, which I totally agreed with, he thought he was snubbed last year for any all defensive teams, any defensive awards. He said once KD and Kyrie were traded, everyone basically forgot about him and just stopped paying attention to what he was doing. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Like, it's insane. It's insane. This guy was being talked about Defensive Player of the Year. He was putting up these crazy numbers. December, I think it was his best month of the season. He was averaging like almost 15 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, insane numbers. And then all of a sudden, KD, Kyrie gone. The numbers didn't even take that much of a hit. His shooting percentage actually went up. His points went down a little bit. But still, like, Jesus Christ, the guy totally got shit on by everybody. He didn't even make top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year, right? I don't think he was even on the list until like the very end of the list. I think maybe got like 1 vote. I might be wrong, but that's insane. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, and you know, the only positive about it, Pete, is he has a chip on his shoulder now, right? That's motivation. He's been working hard this offseason. He's coming into camp motivated. He wants to prove that he is a top 10 center in this league.
Yeah, I thought Spencer Dinwiddie also said something very interesting about Clax. He said even if he shits the bed, he's gonna make about $70 million. And you know what? Spence is so fucking right. Even if this guy, I said on my podcast, even if Clax gets hurt for whatever reason, he's gonna make so much money right now. If he could do what he did last year, even 90%, 80%, he's looking at a max deal, right?
Yeah.
You gotta give it. Yeah. You gotta give it to him. He deserves it.
I mean, we all know the contract that Rudy Gobert got back in the day. Claxton's better than him. Also, the trade package that the Timberwolves gave up for Gobert. Like, I don't know. I love Claxton, and I just think he's going to be sensational this year. He's going to be a top 3 center in the East. It might be Embiid, and then after Embiid, who else is there? Adebayo, and maybe Claxton's number 3.
I could see that very easily. I'm very
all right.
happy.
These were some quick quotes. So this segment is called Quick But Whatever. I think the obvious one is Vaughn said that Mikal Bridges is going to have the ball a lot more in his hands this year. And Mikal Bridges said that as well. Yeah, duh. He's our best player. He averaged 26 points a game last season. So he should have the ball in his hands a lot. Nothing really there. Cam Johnson injury, nothing serious. So he hurt his hamstring a little bit, but he said he's good. It's a little bump in the road. He's already taking care of it and already feeling better. I know you are an extreme worrywart.
Told you so.
Yeah, but if he doesn't miss any time.
How do you get a hamstring injury? How do you get a hamstring injury? That means he's probably
Overworking it.
overdoing it a little bit. Maybe if he doesn't play on Team USA, he doesn't get this injury. Maybe.
Yeah, but time out. Because a lot of these guys were working out. Pete, these guys aren't just hanging out at home, sipping Mai Tais, watching film, being like, they're still working out. He could have Draymond Green fucking sprained his ankle. He wasn't on Team USA.
I know, but still, it's a different competition in FIBA, and playing at home in FIBA is the same competition.
Not to mention that Cam Johnson didn't really play. He was kind of a bench warmer.
So all that travel. Just saying. Just saying. Right. Listen, it doesn't mean, like you said, it doesn't mean that it was, any correlation. But I just like to say, I was saying, what if these guys got hurt?
I get it.
Now we don't know.
Few other role players had some interesting things to say. Dorian Finney-Smith says he has a chance to redeem himself this year in regards to his shooting struggles last season. He was almost unplayable at times down the stretch last year on offense. It was tough. Do you think he's going to get back to the DFS we saw in Dallas?
I really do think so. I really, really do. I like him a lot. I thought he was going to be able to come into this Nets team and provide some 3-and-D. Didn't happen. I think he turns it around this year. Last year, you can't look at those, 25 games, 20 games. That was a whole shitstorm. Let's throw that away. Give him a fresh start, right? Give the guy a fresh start.
Yeah, I think it's going to be him and Royce competing for minutes in that small ball lineup, right? If we've seen Royce play the 5 before, we know DFS can play the 5 if you're going small ball. I think those guys are going to compete for minutes alongside, the Trendon Watfords, the Darius Baisleys, who are just trying to see the court. Lonnie Walker, he was also asked a few questions. He thinks that the leaders on this team not being egotistical and then being super relatable helps. It helps a great deal. And he's referring to Mikal, Cam, Ben, Clax, etc. He comes from a team, on the Lakers where started the year with a few egos, Russ, AD, LeBron, the coach. There was some turmoil there. They moved Russ. They get going in the playoffs, but you don't have a LeBron or AD level type superstar on this team. So for a guy like Lonnie Walker, it's got to be a little refreshing, right?
Oh, absolutely, right. Like I don't know. I kind of like the players that Sean Marks kind of brought in and whatnot. Having a guy like Lonnie Walker, playoff experience. I don't know. It's going to be tough to rely on Mikal, Ben, and Clax the entire year, and we're going to see someone like a Lonnie Walker have that moment of maybe putting up like a 30-point game, a 20-point game, and every team needs those type of guys, right?
They do, and we saw what Lonnie did in LA last season in that playoff game against the Golden State Warriors. He came through, but that was, it it was under the pressure of LeBron James to hit those shots. Like there's no, my whole point is there's no like LeBron like putting the pressure on him. He's gotta want it himself. And I think he proved last season that he's capable, and we'll see if he can come through for us this year. One guy who had a great answer, who's been scrutinized a lot since he's been on the Brooklyn Nets, and that's Cam Thomas. He was asked a question like, would you like to have more playing time, or do you think you're going to have more playing time this season? His answer was, you never know. You just need to stay ready at all times. Whatever the role is, I'll be ready no matter what. So the fact that this guy who we know can score in the NBA, we know he can light it up, and he has not seen consistent minutes throughout his career, and he still has that mindset, mentality, you got to give him credit. With all the superstars requesting trades and all the guys unhappy in their roles, if anyone has a reason to complain, it's Cam Thomas. But he's using this opportunity to be like, no, I'm ready.
Time out. You believe this?
It's not that I believe it. It's that he said it, and he said it with a smile on.
Listen, that's fair, right? Because keep in mind, this is the guy that was asked, "Oh, how could you get better or whatever after a game?" And he said, "I don't know." It's a big attitude shift, but you know what? That's the smart move, right? That's the move, and that's the move you want to see as a Nets fan. And I hope he does get playing time because the team is going to need him.
Last quote I wanted to discuss, Dennis Smith Jr. First of all, I was unfamiliar with his personality. He's fucking funny, dude. I like him a lot. He's got a great personality. Talking about, his role on his team, signing with the Brooklyn Nets, he said he feels like he is, it's a hand in a glove fit. And he has a different skill set than most guys on this team. And the Brooklyn Nets can really use his skill set. I botched the quote. I paraphrased there, but just, how excited are you to see him in this rotation? Backup point guard, can come in, really just a great on-ball defender, can score in kind of batches. How excited are you for Dennis Smith Jr.?
He was my favorite, piece coming into the new season. My favorite pickup in the offseason for sure. I'm really high on Dennis Smith Jr. I don't know why. I'm not expecting him to hit a couple threes. I think that's asking a little bit too much. But as far as just the defense and the transition and the dunks, I think he's going to really provide, like you said, something that this team doesn't have. And I'm really big on him. I think he gets about 15 to 20 minutes a game by the end of the year. I really do.
The only thing that sort of scares me about him and Ben Simmons is our point guards. And I like Dinwiddie's a point guard, but he's probably going to be more of a shooting guard on this team. Is neither of them shoot threes. I don't think I've ever gone into a season with 2 point guards who really don't shoot the 3 ball.
That's a good point, but it's going to be different roles and different times. You're not going to have Dorian Finney-Smith. You're not going to have Dennis Smith Jr. With 5 seconds left, and you need a 3. He's not going to be on the court at that time. Let's be honest, right? When he's going to be in the game, is going to be on the defensive possessions. Nice crack in my voice. He's going to be there for the defensive possessions when you need the stops. So
that's fair.
But I understand what you're saying, though. I understand what you're saying. It is something to think about.
I mean, look, we talked about Lonnie Walker and Cam Thomas. Those guys can hit the 3. Spencer Dinwiddie can hit the 3. And then McHale and Cam Johnson are proven 3-point shooters in this league. Royce and DFS can also shoot from beyond the arc as well. So I named 2 guys that happen to play the same position who can't do that, but the rest of our team. And if Claxton starts shooting threes, who knows? All right, we're going to move on to our next segment. It's called First Thought. So a lot of moves, Pete, happened in the last several days in the NBA. A lot of gigantic blockbuster trades. We're going to start with Damian Lillard going to Milwaukee. First thought.
What the fuck? I feel like we should have seen that one coming, but it was still a shock when you hear it. You didn't think that the Bucks would be interested in Drew Holiday, but here we are, and look at it, another super team in the East. Like here we go again. That's my thoughts.
My first thought was perfect fit. Yeah. I think that Drew Holiday is a good, solid NBA player. I think we tend to overrate him a little bit because he is the 3rd best player on a really good perennial Eastern Conference team that won a championship a few years ago, and then they lost in the first round to the Miami Heat. Drew Holiday got torched. The last memory Bucks fans have in their heads is Jimmy Butler talking shit and then shitting all over Drew Holiday on the court. So I just Giannis has never had an offensive talent like Dame Lillard. Chris Middleton is again, really good NBA player. He's not Damian Lillard. So that was my thought. Perfect fit. All right, next. First thought, Drew Holiday, Boston Celtic.
I thought he was going to the Clippers. That was my first thought. It's like, oh, shit. But they traded Robert. I'm surprised. They traded Robert Williams. And I think it was a pick and somebody else. I forgot the extra player. But that was I thought that was very interesting, and I think it was a great move by the Celtics. Good pickup.
Yeah. They had to replace Smart. You had to figure out a way to do that. Holiday is a better offensive player than Marcus Smart, in my opinion. Defensively, I comparing them, they're similar. I think Smart's a little bit more physical just because he's got a bigger body than Holiday, but I like Holiday's offense more than Marcus Smart's. All right, first thought. DeAndre Ayton is a Portland Trailblazer.
What do you say? He's dominant. My name is
Dominating.
Dominating. Dominating. That was hilarious. One of those guys has to be traded, right? That was my first thought. That one of these guys have to be traded. They can't keep both of them, can they?
They can, because Ayton can hit the mid-range. And Williams is a tenacious defender. So you put Ayton around that free throw extended, have him run the offense a little bit with Scoot, a little, DPO, dribble handoff, DHO. I think it could work. I know they want to move Brogdon. I know that's the guy that Portland is insistent on moving. Get another pick. Give the general manager of the Trailblazers credit. I think his name is Cronin.
Yeah, it is.
Really, really good haul for him to get these guys. And, Miami kept scoffing at what Portland was asking for, and Portland said, fine, we'll go elsewhere. So Pat Riley is still the man, but I don't know. This was not a good look for the Miami Heat.
Do you think they messed up?
I think that bringing back Kyle Lowry as your starter, I'm not saying that them going to the championship was a fluke, but when you go to the championship, you lose, you need to improve the next year. Look at what the Golden State Warriors did a few years ago. They lost to the Cavs in 7 games. What did they do? They went out and got Kevin Durant. Phoenix Suns lost in the championship a few years ago. They had a championship level team this season, but they saw an opportunity to get Kevin Durant and they upgraded. The fact that the Miami Heat haven't done that, it doesn't sit well with me. So I do think it was a mistake not trading for Dame.
I agree 100%. Especially that how badly he wanted to come to Miami and Jimmy Butler wanted him there so badly. It's wild, but whatever. Shit happens.
My last first thought. James Harden is expected to join training camp for Philly. Daryl Morey's about to win this standoff, but there are reports that he, quote unquote, might make it extremely painful for Philly. First thought.
Sucks to be you. Sucks to be you. Both of these people, both the organization, the 76ers, and Harden. Harden, you should have stayed in Brooklyn. You should have taken the contract. Sucks to be you. Philadelphia, sucks to be you. Now you got this problem on your hands. You couldn't trade him, and now what are you going to do? That's going to be a great situation. You have Kelly Oubre Jr., who basically stole Harden's girl and wound up marrying her. What is that going to be like on the court every day? That is must-see TV. I need to see this. If I'm Harden, I'm throwing. No, I gotta throw like these bean passes at his head every day, any day. So I'm hyped to see that. That's gonna be fun.
That story is crazy. That's exactly what my first thought was. Is I just read this insane story of how Oubre stole Harden's girl. Now he's gonna show up at training camp, like just mind-boggling. I think he's kind of a pussy, Harden, for letting Daryl Morey win and showing up to training camp. But I guess timeout.
He has to.
And he might not practice. The whole thing is he might just show up and not play. We'll see. I don't know.
Sucks to be them.
Look, James Harden and Ben Simmons traded for each other. One guy is getting so much hype. His team is rallying around him, and the vibes have never been better. The other guy is trying to force his way to Los Angeles, not getting his way, and is going to show up to training camp 50 pounds overweight.
It's hilarious.
All right, Pete, we're going to end the show with a little segment called Is Hoops Hype or Hoops? Yeah, Hoops Hype. Are they smarter than Spen? So I saw that they posted this list of the 15 players for the 2023-2024 season. I made my own list. All right. So I'm going to read you both lists, but I'm not going to tell you which one is mine, which one is theirs. It's going to be list number 1, list number 2. I'm going to read them off. You're going to tell me which list you like better. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay. List number 1. Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum. We're at 8 right now, or we're at 9. Jason Tatum.
I'm copying this down.
Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, Damian Lillard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Ja Morant, Donovan Mitchell. That's 1 through 15. Top 15 players in the league. List number 1.
Okay.
List number 2. Nikola Jokic, same number 1. Our 2 and 3 are swapped. So this number 2 has Luka, and number 3 is Giannis Antetokounmpo. List number 2. Jason Tatum is 4. Joel Embiid is 5. Steph Curry is 6. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is 7. KD is 8. Devin Booker's 9. Anthony Davis is 10. Anthony Edwards is 11. Jimmy Butler is 12. Ja Morant is 13. Damian Lillard is 14. And Kawhi Leonard is 15. List number 1, list number 2.
I have issues with both lists, but let me look. I want to look. I want to give a fair and honest opinion. I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with list 2, but I think Steph Curry's a little bit too high.
You son of a bitch. That was not my list. My list was Hoops Hype. I'm sorry, my list was list 1. Hoops Hype's list was list 2. Why did you not like list 1?
I'm gonna tell you why. I like list 2 because you had Embiid and whatnot and Booker. Your list was good, but I think you put Tatum too high. You put
Time out. You're getting me confused. The one that had Tatum 4 was list 2. I put Tatum 8.
Okay, so let me copy this down. So the one with Jokic, Doncic, Antetokounmpo, and Tatum was Hoops Hypes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Oh, you know what I did? I'm sorry, guys. I messed up the lists. I like the list. I just have the players listed, so I get a little confused. The list that I like is the one with Jokic, Antetokounmpo, Doncic, and Curry as the top 4.
Okay, that's my list.
But you put Curry way too high.
Okay, but that's okay. I'm with you. All right, cool. So you like my list more?
Yeah, I like your list more, but you put Curry way too high.
Take that, Hoops Hype. Oh, we have a comment. Did you see the comment?
No.
Cliff, a minute ago, who I might be familiar with. I might know this gentleman. He wrote, Tatum at 9, you clearly don't know ball. If you were listening, Tatum was 8, and I do know ball because the 7 guys I listed ahead of him are better than him. Also, he choked in the playoffs against Miami. He's a great player, but I need to see him come through and be that, be that dude in the moment for him to be top 5, top 6.
I just like they're giving you shit. I love it. I love it
too.
Keep it going.
I feed off it. All right. It's time to end the show. Fun little show. Sorry we recorded on a Tuesday. We'll get back after it next week on Monday. Pete, Any final words for the listeners?
Yeah, I just dropped an episode with Nets Press yesterday and Sunday. You guys can check it out. It's full episode now on YouTube. I usually don't do YouTube videos. This is my first YouTube video. So guys, please check it out. Drop a like, subscribe if you'd like it. And that's it. We're out. Let's go Nets.
Thank you for listening to another edition of Fireside Nets with Spen and Pete. Tune in next week, and we will see you soon. Later, everyone.